In the heart of Lagos, Nigeria, 26-year-old Amara sat on her small balcony, staring into the fading sunset. The memories of the past 5 years weighed heavily on her, yet the whirlwind of emotions she now felt was suffocating. Life had given her two choices, both lined with love, loyalty, and pain. Amara met her first love, Chidi, at a vibrant wedding in their Igbo community. His charm and confident demeanor swept her off her feet. Their romance was intense and swift, but when she fell pregnant, everything changed. Chidi's parents, wealthy traders in Onitsha, were livid. They could not bear the shame of an unplanned pregnancy before marriage. He will not marry a woman who traps him with a child, they declared. Within weeks, they sent Chidi to America to start afresh, leaving Amara to face the gossip and judgment of the community alone. Broken but determined, Amara found herself at the lowest point in her life. That's when Emeka entered the picture, a Yoruba man with a heart as kind as the Harmattan breeze. Ton wasn't just supportive, he embraced her and her unborn child as though they were his own. Emeka was a mechanic, known in the community for his hard work and humility. He paid for Amara's hospital bills when her son, Kelechi, was born. He even helped her enroll in a vocational training program to learn tailoring. Over the years, Emeka's love was steady and unwavering. He made sure Kelechi had the best education they could afford and was planning to propose in 3 months. Amara's family adored Emeka, calling him Olawo Orimi, the one who values me. But then, Chidi returned. It was November when Amara saw Chidi again at the community market. He looked different, taller, broader, and with an air of confidence that screamed success. "Amara," he said, his voice soft yet commanding, "I'm sorry for everything." He spoke of sleepless nights filled with regret, of how his parents had controlled his decisions, and how he never stopped thinking about her or their son. He begged for forgiveness and promised to right his wrongs. Chidi now owned a logistics business in Houston and offered to take Amara and Kelechi back to the United States with him. "You and Kelechi deserve the best," he said. "I want us to be a family again." Amara's heart raced. Chidi was her first love, the father of her child. But there was Emeka, the man who had held her hand when Chidi let go. Chidi promised to meet Amara's parents and pay the traditional compensation for abandoning her. His wealth made the offer appealing to Amara's struggling family. But how could she tell Emeka, who had sacrificed so much, that she was even considering going back to Chidi? Amara's mother, Mama Ndechi, called her one evening. "Amara, my daughter, think carefully. Chidi's wealth can change our family's story. But what about Emeka? He has been a father to Kelechi in every way that matters." "Mama," Amara said, tears streaming down her face, "I still love Chidi. He's the one I dream about. But Emeka doesn't deserve this. He's a good man, and Kelechi adores him." That night, Amara couldn't sleep. The sound of the talking drum from a nearby festival echoed in her ears, a reminder of her tangled emotions. She recalled how Emeka had stayed awake all night when Kelechi had malaria, how he had fixed her sewing machine when it broke, and how he had been her rock when the world felt against her. But Chidi was her first love. The idea of a fresh start in America, away from the prying eyes of their small community, was tempting. The following Sunday, Chidi arrived at Amara's family compound with gifts, bags of rice, yams, and money envelopes. He spoke confidently to her parents, promising to marry Amara and take care of Kelechi. Her father, a retired school teacher, remained silent, but Mama Nkechi's eyes gleamed with approval. Later that evening, Emeka showed up unexpectedly with a small cake for Kelechi, as it was his 5th birthday. The sight of Emeka playing with Kelechi made Amara's chest tighten. She knew she had to tell him the truth. "Emeka, we need to talk," she said, pulling him aside. As she began to explain, tears filled Emeka's eyes. "Amara," he said, his voice breaking, "I've loved you and Kelechi as my own. But if your heart belongs to someone else, I won't force you to stay. Just don't forget what we've shared." Days turned into weeks. Amara wrestled with her conscience and her heart. At a family meeting, her father finally spoke, "Amara, wealth fades. Love must stand the test of time. Choose wisely." In the end, Amara gathered both men together and told them the truth. Her decision shocked everyone, but it was hers to make. Amara chose Chidi. The allure of a better life in America, coupled with the rekindling of her first love, seemed too good to pass up. Her family was divided on the decision, but in the end, they accepted her choice. Emeka quietly stepped away, heartbroken but dignified. When Chidi came to take Amara and Kelechi to the United States, it was a moment of celebration. Her community sang traditional Igbo songs, and her mother blessed her journey with Udu water, sacred water from a clay pot, for protection. Amara boarded the plane with hope in her heart, imagining a bright future for her and Kelechi. At first, life in Houston was everything she dreamed of. Chidi's home was spacious, and Kelechi quickly adjusted to his new environment. But cracks began to show just months after their arrival. Chidi's charming facade faded as he became controlling and demanding. "Do you think life in America is free?" he snapped one evening when Amara mentioned wanting to pursue her tailoring business. He expected her to stay home and manage the house while he worked, dismissing her dreams as unnecessary. When Chidi wasn't at work, he spent his time berating Amara for the smallest things. Her cooking wasn't good enough, her accent was too thick, and her parenting of Kelechi was criticized constantly. The worst came when Amara discovered that Chidi was having an affair with a coworker. Confronting him only made things worse. "You're lucky I even brought you here," he spat. "Without me, where would you and that boy be?" Amara's health began to deteriorate. She was plagued by stress, loneliness, and the isolation of being far from home. The vibrant, determined woman she once was slowly disappeared. One evening, after a heated argument, Chidi hit her. The pain wasn't just physical, it was the realization that she had given up a man who truly loved her for someone who now treated her like a burden. Amara's illness worsened. She developed severe migraines and lost a significant amount of weight. Unable to walk, Chidi saw her as useless. Kelechi, too young to understand fully, often cried, sensing the tension. In a moment of desperation, Amara called her mother back in Nigeria. "Mama, I made a mistake. I'm not safe here," she sobbed over the phone. Mama and Nkechi rallied the family to raise money for Amara's return ticket. When Chidi found out, he was more than willing to let her go. "Go back to your poverty," he sneered. "You're nothing but a liability." Amara returned to Nigeria with Kelechi, frail and broken. Her arrival was met with tears and heartbreak. The once vibrant Amara now needed constant care to recover from her illness and the trauma of her failed relationship. Back in Lagos, Ton had moved on, though he never married. He poured himself into his work and became a mentor to younger mechanics in the community. When he heard of Amara's return, he visited her out of kindness. Seeing her frail state, he was overcome with sadness. "Emeka," Amara whispered, tears streaming down her face, "I was blind. I chose wrong, and I've paid dearly for it. You deserved better." Emeka sighed deeply. "Amara, life is full of choices, and we all make mistakes. What matters now is how you rebuild your life." With the support of her family, Amara began her journey to recovery. Her mother's herbal remedies and care helped restore her health. She returned to her tailoring business and found solace in her son, Kelechi, who remained her greatest source of joy. Though Emeka's love was now out of reach, his compassion reminded Amara of what she had lost and what she had to strive for. She dedicated herself to raising Kelechi and rebuilding her life, vowing never to let anyone take away her dignity again. Amara's story became a cautionary tale in our community. Wealth and promises of a better life should never outweigh respect, love, and loyalty. Though her path was fraught with regret, Amara found strength in her resilience and the unwavering love of her family. And as the years passed, she became a source of inspiration to other women, reminding them to value themselves above all else.